Hello, and welcome back to episode 7 of Where Wub, a Universes podcast with myself, Ryan Levine, Middle Cimino, and Calvin Harrigal, aka Wub. Travis is usually here. He could not be here this week due to a scheduling conflict, but he will be back next episode. I guess first thing is first. Wub win. Wub won.
Win.
Yeah, he won.
Yeah.
Where were we? Louisville, the Louisville regional.
Brian,
So we're gonna.
that's weird. You were
Yeah.
there this weekend. Why don't you remember?
Yeah,
you were there the
A
whole
very
time.
short time.
We're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, but first we're gonna talk about the brew, the deck that Wub won the event with. So his Zeke Warchief strategy. Yeah, just take it away, I suppose.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so I talked with on the stream with Barrett about this a bit too. It's just like I'd had my eyes on this character ever since early AOT, and I think AOT 3, right? But the early podcast too, I was talking about how much I like the character and how he makes backups into quote trigger. Like if you really squint, you can buff a check once per turn by the number of the backups in your stage plus 1, which is really cool. And I kind of like the gameplay loop of like smaller attack, big attack, build pass into late game Falling Titans loops. So I really liked how he interacted with the backup cards and stuff. And I sort of put him down for a while, and then we were playing before the event, and it just felt good. Like it was just testing well. I will say that like in the tournament, uh this deck takes a while to kill, and that allows your opponent to almost always get to do their game plan, or at least some of it, and that can mean that a lot of these matches were just like really, really grindy. Like it was certainly a pretty high effort tournament for me. Like when I played all Rodian and I would just focus attack kill people, or Nick Reagan, like those tournaments, I would play for like 15, 20 minutes and then I would just go chill. This was like I was taking 80% of time every round, and then some rounds getting close to overtime. One round ended in overtime. Wasn't drawing. The inevitability of this deck is really good, but I'm also a pretty fast player, so I could see someone who takes more time in the tank or isn't as practiced with it, like struggling with that.
In the finals, you both played very quickly, I think, which is ironic in that the round that was not timed, the bit I did watch of it is like I didn't really notice any opportunity or any times where either of you just like sat there. I think you did both have a very good idea of what I mean, it was a mirror. So you both had a very good grasp, I think, of what the actions available to the opponent were, and you both just did them fairly quickly.
I think we both knew our deck's contents, not so much our opponents perfectly, but our own, because there are points where like both of us did the same thing of like figuring out what attack was left in our deck and going until we drew it. Like there was a time where I knew the bottom card of my deck was Falling Titans or like the bottom X or something, and I just kept taking hits and drawing with Jaegers or whatever to get to it. And I think he did the same thing where he peaked like 4 times because he knew there was an armored Titan rush down there or something. So like I think it was a really cool final. I like that we kind of put on a show with my accidental burn him to 1 with Harness on Death. That was hilarious. At the time, I was just kind of zone checking him. Obviously, I didn't know he didn't have a low, and then he started tapping massive abnormals and like peak mill with Jaegers. I'm like, oh, this is gonna hit him. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, how much damage is this actually? And it ended up being his life total -1, and then he put me to like 2 or something the turn.
Yeah, because if he checked a backup on his half block, he died, right?
No, he did.
Oh, he did check a backup.
So he went.
Okay,
He went from 2 to 1.
Got it. Yeah.
The only world that he died was if I somehow built and was a psycho and echoed it on like an 8 and had checked a backup. Right.
Yeah.
But if that didn't work and he had a low block, I just lost because I probably committed my stage to do that. So
right.
Yeah, no, it was a really fun mirror. Our decks were built very differently. He was on, I think, like 11 or 13 attacks, which is crazy when you look at how quickly he was killing people. Like that part is insane to think about. But he had like 33 backups in his deck, and I was a bit more normal. I still had under 30 foundations. I was 28 foundations, but I had 20 attacks and 70, like a pretty standard list, and 18 backups. So you could see in the gameplay, it took me a bit longer to flip usually. And I was comfortable with that because I think early game the front side of Zeke is just really good at blocking a tall move, which a lot of decks like pumping a lot of stats into a particular move, and you can say I'll block that one, and then obviously 9 Titans. Who knows if this card will be here forever? It's pretty busted, but like you can block some things and then sort of use a bit of DR to survive some others, and then you eventually start getting hit. But it's pretty hard for decks to overcome that early on. And then the other part of Zeke on the front side that's really nice is attacking his backups is extremely unproductive. I had a few people ask, well, what if we just kind of swung at your backups on the weekend? And I'm like, well, if your attack says you get 1 enhance and it's dropped, and I gain a life, draw a card, and drop the attack as the first enhance, I feel like that feels terrible, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
understand. I wouldn't be attacking Zeke's backups on the front side for sure. Now in the Zeke 1 match, you saw me do that, but that's because he draws for each backup, so I want them dead immediately. But it's totally
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. As like I'm pretty happy with the deck list I submitted. There are a few things that I saw Caden doing that I think I would have liked to try, like maybe a one of knockdown blow to pick up. Armored Titan Rush was cool, but the problem I had was I needed cheap attacks to play them as my first form. Like there was a top cut match versus Mikasa where you saw me play a female because it was the only thing I had in my hand, check a 3, and I had to commit my character before I even got to play. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm just dead, and I was right. Um, but in most situations, like you want one of those 5 or even a 6 diff is okay. Just something that you can safely place on the table to use your character early game. So that's why I'm not so sure about going to like knockdown blow and armored titan rush and stuff like that. But you definitely could play the sort of deck that Caden did, and I think that deck is probably very successful. I mean, we saw it be successful, but like it's much more aggression early. Whereas I sort of focused on the other life symbols, like really good block mods and incredible display to pick up those block mods, and just kind of playing a lot of blocking related defense. I had not a lot of DR in my deck. I wasn't so much thinking about that. Um, Something I noticed when I was thinking about the deck today is that Zeke kind of fixes so Zeke and AOT3 combined kind of fixed the life symbol problems that people had with playing the symbol on defense, which was the lack of resets or ability to deal with tall moves. Like before AOT, you really only had like Eden Box, and that's not something you can easily get to, right? And then also high difficulty attacks. All the good life attacks are just high difficulty, and it makes it really awkward to go like in a normal deck on a 5, on a 6, etc. And Zeke's backside also fixes that. So he just takes these already good life cards and puts them like a really nice shell with a great late game plan, and like it panned out. I had a good bracket, I'll say that. There were definitely matches I could have lost, but this time I didn't. It worked. So no, it was sick. I'm really really happy.
Yep. Every game I watched you play on the weekend, you were playing out of your mind, like incredibly well. Uh, we like, I think you mentioned in your player interview where you're just like tired of people telling you that this deck wasn't that good, and like leading up to the event, in a similar spot, I was like, well, I know what I want to play. I don't know if I should. And then
I
I
kept
played
telling
like,
you just to play it.
yeah. I like, I would play like the decks that you were like, oh, maybe I like this, and I would like take them to locals and play, and I would be like, Phil sealed 2 of my attacks with Allura, and I don't think this deck is very good. And you said, well, yeah, it's probably not that great if 2 of your attacks in every turn cycle don't have card text, and you're playing the way that you play. And I was like, that's fair. But like, yeah, watching you pilot the deck, it was crazy.
I
Like,
think it's just a combination of me being comfortable with these cards, having used them a lot. The play style also is like exactly how I want to play the game. I like having I like playing defense, but I don't like build passing as my like turn. I want to have something to do on my turn, and then I also want to like draw cards and play good defense. So on the flip side, like I also don't want to just be like sitting there unable to act as my opponent is just going throughout there. And
right.
Zeke kind of covers that. And then I also like the combo aspect, which calling Falling Titans is a combo might be a bit much, but like it kind of, if you squint, like you just you need
Close
step
enough.
one is to get all the pink cards out and like set it up, and then at a certain point it doesn't really matter what your opponent does because interacting with it becomes almost impossible, or you have 2 of them, right? Because they sit in your stage and you can just pick it up. But yeah, very happy. Didn't think this would happen this quickly or ever. You know,
Oh,
I thought,
there was
yeah,
no doubt in my mind that you were up next at some point. Like, you were due
well,
a win.
I appreciate it, but yeah, just glad the effort paid off and everything. And I think the list worked really well. I might just run it going forward. I might run it if something like Nine Titans gets banned. Like I
Mhm.
still think the deck has legs, and a lot of what I was doing didn't really rely on that particular card.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
a big difference between I think your deck and the other Titan decks is like, yes, you obviously ran the full playset of 9 Titans,
yeah, the
but
card is unfair.
but
Like
it's
I
like
do run it.
the Hanj 1 decks are like, if 9 Titans is banned, that deck is unplayable. Right? Like that, like
Mhm.
yeah,
you literally
the
start the
character didn't
game with that card in front of
yeah,
you. Like if that
the
card is
character
banned,
didn't
there's
exist and was
yeah.
bad until the
Yeah.
character's text became you start with 9 Titans and play. Then
Yeah.
it converted to 6 out of 6 or something like that. Like
Yeah.
literally,
Yeah,
So,
Hanji
yeah,
one Hanji one might as well have been printed in AOT 3.
yeah.
But like,
and my take on some of the other cards people have talked about, Unyielding is sort of its own can of worms. I don't like that card.
me neither.
Falling Titans to me is like if you have to play a specific character or find a way to buff your checks and get to the point that you are spawning out enough backups to do it, I feel like that's okay as an inevitable game plan.
Yeah.
However, like Deku in Phantom Threat, if there's a way to do it too early, it sort of
Mhm.
becomes a problem. It's the same kind of thing. I think that there isn't really an issue with these like late game inevitability things, provided that they actually remain late game inevitability.
Yeah,
Um,
I think the cool part to me specifically about your deck this weekend and like your success was half the time when we like accidentally quote unquote stumble into like a deck that is pretty well positioned, we realize it in like retrospect. And this time around, like you knew a while ago, you were like, I just like playing this deck, there's something about it. And then
yeah,
when we wind up like seeing what happens in like the tournament, it's like, okay, well, yeah, we know that the backup decks are good, and the niche that this occupies is, like you were saying, attacking my backups, which is like how you usually stop these other decks, or like at least slow them down, doesn't really do anything to Zeke. So
yeah.
like you have the advantage over those backup decks in the quote unquote backup mirror, in that A, they can't really slow your game plan down by diverting and doing that, and B, you have access to harness. And it's like similar
Anyone can
to
run harness, but yeah,
yeah, like or in your list at least for this event, you were running harness, right? Like
everyone should have been running harness, as we saw.
correct, yeah, but you have to say, but you were, and then like B, similarly to like when like Travis weeks before Nats was like maybe there's something with Firebird and then dropped it, and then we in the room like built the Firebird deck that I did well with at Nats. It was like, okay, well, yeah, everyone's ready for like the Hanj version of the backups where you have to hit them. Same thing with like everyone's ready for the turbo flip version of the Burt deck, but like if you do a different thing with the same character that's already powerful, you just can leverage that into a win. And you were just
Yeah.
always very comfortable on Zeke because you've been playing it for a while, right?
Yeah, I also think there wasn't as much anima shot. I actually don't think I had one placed on the table this weekend against me. I did play against a Rodan that ran them, but
Don't
Unyielding
remind
just
me.
kept him so far behind. But the thing about that card into Zeke specifically is well, first off, while Nine Titans exists, there is a turn two that's pretty safe that requires no backups starting out. You just need a Nine Titans in your discard. So like Rock Barrage existing kind of skirts a bit of that. And then the other really feels bad part of Animus is not so much when your opponent removes one, it's when they target one and remove the other and hit your hand and take a card, right?
Mm,
And Zeke is pretty good at skirting that by um if I were playing an Animus shot deck, I don't really keep backups going first. I will just sort of progress the mini quest via my discard and maybe build one, so if they flash, sure, that's fine, I can block it at least, and I don't lose a random card from my hand.
yeah,
But late game it does hurt, but the thing is, at that point every backup in your stage is passing the torch, right? Like it's tapped draw a card for people
right,
who
right.
didn't play back then. So like your value engine is already online, and losing those two pieces, unless you're at like 5 and go to 3 backups, isn't that bad. When you're at like 8 and you lose 2, whatever. It doesn't matter at that point. Um, so I think this deck is uniquely not as destroyed by like Animus Shot as some of the other backup lists might be, where they want to build like 3 or 4 backups immediately on the first turn, and that
Mhm.
is like their main game plan. Then it really hurts them. Um, so I think overall it was very well positioned. Again, in terms of Animus, I just didn't really run into it. Um, but I will probably play this going forward and keep working on it. Um, yeah, I think that was pretty much it. I think I'll do a deck profile and go a bit more in depth to it. Maybe
On
I
your
don't know what
channel?
the plan is. I don't know. Dean has asked me to do it on theirs, or
MJ,
I
sure.
don't really. Yeah, I don't know, but I like talking about this character. So
Yeah, that's usually the recipe for success, right?
yeah. Oh, that was the other thing. Yeah, this deck was totally just built on vibes. Like a lot of the other lists that I've done, I usually like go to you and I'm like, I don't know how much of these numbers of things. Like I want the deck to do X, Y, Z in this time frame. Um, for whatever reason, we were just kind of busy before this tournament, and I just sent it. I didn't think about why I had 18 backups and 28 foundations. I was just like, that sounds fine. I'm just gonna go with it. Like, I
Yeah,
got some decent low blocks and high blocks.
it was
It'll.
like it's very funny. Like the prior to this tournament, it was like we did kind of just scramble in the last like week or so to do actual testing, and like prior it was like Shadowverse had come out, and we
We were
were
just
like,
playing Shadowverse.
yeah, we were just playing Infinite Shadowverse, and then it was like, okay, well now it's time to lock in, and then by the time we realized like we're locking in, we're like, oh well, all of us have like jobs and like other stuff going on, and like Ryan's like gone for like 2 weeks, so we just like we found
Yeah,
like 3 or 4 days total to test, and if the vibes were like there, it was like, yeah, whatever, this is working, let's not worry too much about the numbers. And like that's
yeah.
kind of how the Deku deck like also kind of wound up in the state that it was in, where it was like I changed 2 or 3 cards the day before because Phil was like, you should play these or you're a coward, and I was like, all right, and then did none of the math, and then
I also
with
changed cards because Phil told me cards were bad, but
yeah, well,
that
hey, you
panned
know
out
what,
apparently. So
yeah, I was gonna
hey,
say we both
thanks,
did
Phil.
well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, the yeah, I was also there. I got top 8. I
You did
don't
great.
remember exactly.
Yeah.
What did I get place wise? Does it matter? Hold on.
You lost in top 8. I don't know the exact position. We would have played had you won,
Yes,
right?
yeah, we would have played, and the my oversight from the weekend. I said it a couple times to a bunch of different people, and I think maybe on stream. I think my deck was 2 cards away from being quote unquote the best deck in the room, or I would have felt incredibly like happy about it. Uh, it was the weekend of backups. We knew backups were going to be good, and I had 0 violent animus shot anywhere in my deck. When in my I would like to flash a move at you that you can't interact with character could play a card that does that and also removes Hanja's untargetable Nine Titans. That would have been probably really good. Uh, but oops, didn't do that. Um,
Yeah.
I really like the Deku deck a lot. I have always combo has always been my favorite archetype in this game specifically. We for like a long time post when I stopped playing like the combo Giro deck and started playing the better version of the character. Uh, like we just like didn't really have one that really spoke to me. This one is pretty gross, right? Like the character is just like on its own, broken on like both halves of it. Like the front side is crazy. You can chain block everything, and you have like a get out of jail free card with vestiges that are all just like good and profitable to run. At least on the symbols that I was choosing. And then on the back, you have one like uninteractable way to kill people, and then also just like slamming stats on whatever into like some boards with some amount of protection from like your staging area will just kill anyone, or at least like chunk them to the point where if you tread water for one more turn, they can't stop you from killing them with like any attack that you draw. Um, is very very good. Like I like practiced and play tested a bunch of different decks and then came back to this one, but I have just like always been aware of this deck and had a list of it brewing for like every format functionally. Um, I had a like I had practiced a lot into Peak and Porco specifically because we thought that was going to be more of the field. There were like lines that I theorized with Sweeping Dagger specifically for like a safe and optimal turn 3 Porco kill so that they don't get to turn 4 with like or whatever amount of foundations untapped and yada yada. We like I put in a copy of Quick Draw Arrow because it says ranged and it has flash natively to beat like respond, make it high, block with the uppercut card or whatever. Uh, I thought about my answers between like main and sideboard, and I just like played pretty
Which
like
no one was doing that, but Yeah.
You know what? We were aware that 8 reversals Rodan could have existed, and I planned for it with 1 card total. So if you were there with 8 reversals Rodan and I didn't see you, you're lucky. But yeah, I put a lot of thought into the deck, and then at the finish line, at some point, asked Wub, should I run any copies of Violent Animus Shot in my deck? And Wub was probably checked out and just made a noise that did not sound enough like it was an affirmative answer, and I just didn't put it anywhere in my deck. And like it didn't wind up coming up in Swiss at all because the first time I ran into a backup deck that like it would have mattered and helped a lot against was in my first. I was like 6-0, and me and Justin Birch played, so we just got to ID. So I didn't have to play against a deck that was playing a lot of backups until my top 16 match against William Anderson, which I had to play out of my mind because he's very very good. But like game 1 was I got to set up a little bit, and I stayed on the front side of my character and just like chucked every attack that I had at his backups until I had enough momentum that eventually I could Phantom Threat him and put powerful like 20 on it or something like that. And then game 2, we like wound up just going to the end of time in Top Cut because I would get like so close to the point of I could put enough forms on something, and I had like a Guardian Angel to beat 1 damage minus, and I had like action cancel, but if I checked like a 4 or less, I would lose and blah blah blah, and like I just was almost there. And then I had to like count attacks and hold enough blocks and just pass back so he got 1 more turn to try and kill me, and then he couldn't. So moved on from there and then got obliterated by predictably a backup deck in Top Cut. So
It was a cool
another
backup
funny
deck,
part about that too, it was a cool backup deck. Yeah, shoutouts Maxwell, I think.
Yeah.
Pitkin, that's the last name. Yeah. Shoutouts to him. But yeah, funny enough, if I anime shots a +1 breaker low block, and I got my knees taken off by political strife in game 2 and 3, and +1 breaker low block might have been pretty good there also.
I will say, like, my path through top 16, like playing that Zeke deck and the Mikasa 3 list was like, wow, people really made some really cool, effective stuff that I hadn't really spent a lot of time on or thought about. And it's like they got very far with it, and it like these decks were terrifying. You know, I'm used to going into a top cut and being like, okay, Rodan, or okay, this, X character. I know exactly what's happening. Adventurous today type stuff. But no,
Right,
like
yeah.
there were some really interesting decks in the top cut, and Caden's list too is just like very, very different. I don't think you got the chance to play it. But
No, I didn't see him in tournament.
he was swinging for the fences, man. Like,
I watched some of the gameplay.
yeah. Um, so no, I think the top cut was pretty cool for this event. We can talk about the meta a bit as well. I think Nine Titans mirrors are not the greatest. I think having played a couple of them, to me it always feels like very, very swingy, where your own Nine Titans answers their Nine Titans.
Right.
However, they can have a Rock Barrage and get an additional Nine Titans, so then your Nine Titans is 1 less than theirs, and it's not enough. And it's just like this really goofy, like, yeah, like it
Yeah, it's
answers
a
it.
weird little dance, but like
It stops their Nine Titan enhance, but then you burn it on an attack, and they just play another one, and then use theirs, and you lose.
right. Yeah,
It's just so swingy on the stats spectrum thing, that I don't think I enjoy it very much.
that's fair.
But I don't know. Did you enjoy like most of your games in the
Uh
tournament otherwise? Like, did you feel like
yeah,
this format
so
is okay?
it's
Or
weird cuz
was
like I there's definitely like prior to the shift in like the last 2 weeks before the event when we started being like, oh, we should probably have the backup stuff more on our radar. We were like, blah blah blah, got to be ready for Porco, got to be ready for Peak, potentially Rodan, this that and the other thing. And like that format, I like that theoretical format. I was like, this is probably fine if you know like what you're trying to answer. And like the floor for Peak is pretty high. The ceiling is not much higher than the floor. Those decks are all just like solid. And then Porco, it's like it's doing an unfair thing, but there are answers to it, and you can slow it down to the point where they have to try and go off on turn like 3 or 4 instead of like 2. Uh, and that's probably fine. Like games ending on like if they build one turn, play turn 2, play turn 3, and it doesn't end on turn 3, and then they kill you the next turn for sure, that's fine. I think that's a good spot to be at. Sometimes even dying on those turn 3s if you don't put up like adequate defense is fine to me. So I was like happy about those. But what I don't like in like the formats that have been the problems before are formats where take like before Smiling got eroded, for example, where on turn 2 Smiling would just like chunk you for 12 to 14 arbitrarily and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it, and then you play the rest of the game on the back foot no matter how good of defense you're playing.
Oh yeah. No, like I
It feels
played.
like yeah, it feels like with Titan Pile and like the 9 Titan stuff, like Hanji specifically has a
Yes.
very
Yeah.
annoying and scary turn 2 threat that's very very safe and does not really cost them much to do. Um
I committed my
that was like lame.
character and probably took 50 damage from a Hanji on 2. If he had even played the attack after the one that killed me, because he had a harness of
Right.
death as well, haha. But I think had I not committed my character and been able to block, I would have had like 4 total game pieces in play between backups and foundations and been at like 6 life going to turn 3, and it's just like that's insane to me. Like that's so crazy. Because that was also me actually successfully blocking like a 7 speed move or something.
Right.
Did you see the pie chart? It was interesting because the actual pie chart, um, we don't really see how much of the other 9 Titan stuff like falls into that Hanji number, because it's like 6.8% Hanji, and then
Yeah.
lower numbers of the other ones. But I'm assuming it like totals up to one of the bigger slices. But like the most played decks were still Godzilla Rodan, and then
Right.
Peak Porco, like as we expected. Um,
Mhm.
it was just kind of, I think this was people realizing just how good the backup decks actually were, and you look at the conversion rates on them. I don't know if anyone's done that necessarily, but they're probably extremely high. Like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
top tables was all of these decks. So
Yeah. It's definitely like a pick your moment type thing, and like I it's very revisionist to like history for me to be like I wish that like Violent Animus Shot was in my deck. I guess realistically what I wish was that it was in my sideboard somewhere, cuz like in Swiss if Violent Animus Shot was in my main board or anywhere in my deck it would not have mattered. In Top Cut it would have mattered so much. And like
mhm.
the card that was like that flex spot for me in Swiss was a copy of the Female Titan. Um,
Yeah.
and like I did not resolve the form on that card in Swiss once. I just like never had a free moment to like throw a 7 difficulty attack with no forms on it and have it not lead to my opponent getting to press too many buttons profitably. But like the high block mattered when I was playing Infinite Potential and in the matchups where I was getting attacked by like highs that I didn't want to take my head off. Like in general, that was good. And then in Top Cut, my round against William Anderson, it did actually win me the game. Like if it was either that or Violent Animus Shot, I'm sure both would have been good. But in that specific game 1 match, I got to actually play it on a 7. It didn't matter that it hit. It being on the board and him knowing that both of my Phantom Threats were in my discard pile, he did launch like one attack at it. I had transformed back to the front side so I could respond with my character and save it and have it only take 1 damage. So he like burned one attack that could have taken my head off on that only, and then the other ones after that just like didn't show up. He built, I picked up Phantom Threat, built for 2 more turns, and then that killed him. So like
Mhm.
there was no other card that could have done that. Otherwise, I would have had to wait for the cycle to come around. So like both are good cards, but it's weird because we did it in this tournament and it worked out for us, and everyone kind of does it anyways. Where we can think and assume that the meta should be this or the field should be that, or like this character is probably the best deck in the format, but people just kind of play what they want, right? Like
Yeah.
I built my deck to have block tricks that like every deck has to respect regardless of what it is. And then I had a little bit of tech sprinkled here and there for everything else. And I just like didn't index enough for the backup decks. And if I had, maybe my top cut run would have been better. But like in Swiss, right, I did just play against like people who were like, yeah, Hans is probably pretty good, but I liked playing Peak or I liked playing Porco or I liked playing whatever. So
Yeah. I mean, it's funny the 2 harness ended up in my main not because I was expecting more backup decks. It was just I didn't want that many 7 diff attacks. Like I think I
Right.
had
Yeah. You
3
needed
female
something
and
to
4
play.
beast, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm just gonna jam harnesses. But the 4 main, especially as I got into the top cuts, the harnesses were coming in all the time. Whereas like early in the rounds, um, Pump Up was really, really good. Special
Mhm.
Forces Elite was amazing. People probably don't know what that card does, but it's Deadlock responses cancel a response, which works
Mhm.
on characters. So
Yeah.
I
Sick.
played Travis round 1 on Deku and like canceled his flash. And
Yeah.
then some other times it came up, but um, yeah, as we got to the later rounds, it was a lot of these backup decks converting, and I think people just um even though they knew that Nine Titans was like a crazy card and the stat pile was just insane, it didn't really matter. Like the knowing that the Titan pile is going to be for 24 damage on 2 doesn't change the fact that it's a 7 high 24 on 2, right? Like it's still
Right.
it still
Yeah.
is. So, um yeah. Um I don't know. I think it would be curious to sort of see where this meta was in a few weeks, with no changes, and like see if people were able to adapt to it. But my inclination is that it's just not really pleasant to play the way that these decks are playing. Like Rock Barrage basically means that your foundations are always going to be committed. We've heard all of us, including Ryan, sort of talk about like how multiple Chimera Krakens just kind of delete your defense sometimes, and Rock
Right.
Barrage is just like that on steroids.
Mhm.
Um, it's like build something that doubles the stats on one of my attacks, target commit that, and stun too. It's just like
Yeah.
it's so hard to
And
like
Insane.
say,
all
yeah,
has
I'm
different
gonna
effects too. So even if you have a
yes,
cancel for commit effects, are you like if you have a commit cancel, I don't know, such as perhaps number 2 pro hero, just
you got to
off
use
the
2 of them.
off the top of my head. Yeah, it's like or elasticity doesn't even work because it's not an actual stun ability, right?
Hmm.
It's a blitz your rival commits to instead of the word stun. So a lot of just the
Surprising
most
skill.
will
So surprising skill was insane this weekend, and
yeah.
it was not because of the response. It was because they couldn't tap it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
sure.
I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
just
yeah.
leave it
You
up.
watch that
Yeah.
on stream. It was insane.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like it is there are so few answers I feel to that. Like that card does so much. Like so much. That card is absurd.
Yeah. So the thing on that card, I was talking to someone this weekend who said, if you could pick a card that you think should be banned out of the backup deck, what would it be? And Rock Barrage was my first answer. And their follow up was, do you think people would play backup decks without that card? And I thought about it a bit and I'm like, you know what? Probably not. Like, I think that card is super messed up, but I think that it is probably like the main payoff for playing these backup decks right now.
Mhm.
If you don't have this piece, I just don't think the decks work. Like,
Right.
there might be some duplicitous smiling titan stuff, but like the way people are playing them right now, I just don't think they function. I think people just wouldn't play these decks at all if they didn't
It
have it.
builds a non-unique, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So
non-unique.
yeah, so it can't build the party backups and it can't build the upcoming secret rare backups from TMNT
Correct.
if you were deranged enough to have a character that shared symbols somehow. But
Yes.
yes. But
Yeah.
hmm.
Obviously, building 9 Titans is
Yeah,
ridiculous
that's
right
the
now, but I
outlier,
still think,
right?
I think if you hit 9 Titans, I think you would still, I think you could still play some of these decks. You could still Rock Barrage build something else, and like, you still get the other text on it, and the main change from the previous Attack on Titan metas was Jaegerist followers exist now, right? So like turbo backups is kind of a thing that you can do. And building
Right.
like I built Jaegerist plenty with Rock Barrage. Like I was like, sure, man, let me get to the -3 speed on these things. Like that's insane. It's just so good.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see where things go. I have a feeling they might hit something, but I don't think, I think they do want backup decks in top cuts. Like I think they want this to be a successful strategy. It's just they don't want it to be the only one. And
Right.
the other problem with like if they keep things as they are is 9 Titans and at least for now Rock Barrage are pretty locked to Attack on Titan stuff. They're not really printing non-unique backups in these other sets, at least as of currently.
It's just
So
Mechazoid, but that also doesn't share any symbols with like
sure.
because Mechazoid is void and no AOT characters have void, and because Rock Barrage is life and no turtle characters have life, these things don't really intersect unless you
Yeah.
go pretty far back, right?
Yeah, so you'll kind of have that, I guess we'll call it like Ghidorah syndrome, Godzilla too, where this package of cards came out and it's really good and it's really cohesive, and it just keeps showing up in top cuts as itself. Like it's not like a lot of things are changing. And that's not the most interesting thing as you get to more and more tournaments. And I think that would be the problem, where if we keep it as 9 Titans, it'll just be um so profitable to just run like the Titan attacks and 9 Titans and Rock Barrage. And why would you run other attacks? Because they're not Titans. So you can't double the stats, right?
Right.
So I think if you specifically remove 9 Titans from that thing, you could see other non-unique backups popping up and people trying other things. And I think Rock Barrage is still like a card you would play, but you lose like the turn 2 like terrifying stuff. I mean, not that I saw it in tournament, but my Zeke deck can turn 2 very, like, not reliably, but it requires 2 attacks to do it, and I don't need the
Yeah.
9 Titans in play. Like, so I don't think people really realize this. And when I did have the cards for it, the one round against a Rodan, he had a barrier shield, so it didn't matter. But if I play a Rock Barrage, check a 5, and build 9 Titans, I can use my character and buff the check to play Resurrected Titans, which would be the other card I need in my hand, and double it, and that's a 7 mid 14, and then search a female attacks, and that is also a 6 diff because you get -3 difficulty. You're playing it on a 9 -3. So that's checkable on 2. That's on a 5, on a 7, on a 6. And you get to scout your check for Resurrected. And female readies the 9 Titans. So that is 7 mid 14 into 7 high 28. That's going to kill a lot of characters. Like that's
Right,
pretty
for
fast for a lot of damage. And I might not be Titan piling, but like the fact that that still exists sort of just kind of casually there is like, I don't know, that's crazy. So if anyway, long and short of it, if I were to pick a card to get rid of, I think it would actually be 9 Titans, because I think without Rock Barrage, these decks just don't really exist anymore. Um,
And I think if Rock Barrage is building a Jaegerist, that's significantly more reasonable on the
Yeah,
power curve.
I care a lot. Yeah, I care a lot less about that one.
Yeah, yeah.
just
Than
you
a
wait for
9
Mechazoid
Titans.
stun 4, because Mechazoid commits to
Yeah.
Commit Foundation.
Yep, yep. But only Allura and Deku can do that. Really.
You Jin.
Yeah, Jin, you're right.
Turtles
yeah.
Deku will be doing far more heinous.
Yeah, I was going to say, and Deku
Yeah.
Deku has 38,000 better things he'd rather be doing.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
people
playing
point out
Rock
that Deku can run the Falling Titans Infinite, I'm like, if Deku has 12 foundations in stage, I don't think an Infinite Falling Titans is the thing I'm
No.
worried
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
Why
at
would
all.
There are other
why would I
pressing
play?
issues.
Why would I play Anattack 6 times when I could just play 1 and you would die?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 attack for 6x damage. Yeah.
Yes.
Why 2-card combo when 1-card combo do trick?
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to start talking about turtle stuff, or do we want to talk about like the cons of the Ryan sigh.
Yeah, let's do this now, I guess.
Sure.
I have quite a bit to say, and I think there's some things that I wanted to discuss that I haven't even brought up to either of you yet, and I need your input on, because I was not at the tournament after round 1, so I need information based on how the rest of it went that maybe you can provide.
Yeah.
And now somebody out there might be going, what does that mean? Not at the tournament after round 1. Oh boy. All right, so the backstory, I guess, of just like I was very, very close to just not attending this event. Not anything to do with universes at all. Just I had been super, super, super busy the previous couple weeks. One of my job is basically I vend cards, and I get contracted by a store to work at their vending booths at larger events. And the large event that happened the previous week from Louisville was the North American Championship for Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is the game that I'm mostly play. I guess not anymore as much, but I played for a long time, and I was working the store's booth at the event, and that was a 3,000 person tournament, and it was 3 full days. We had to show up at 6 a.m. each morning, and ran until everybody was gone that day. So most of our days were 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. or 6 a.m. Like Saturday was 6 a.m. to like 10:30 p.m. is when we finally left. And I had been doing prep work for the event the week leading up to it. I got on a 6 a.m. flight Monday morning, did not get home until the next Monday at 11 p.m. And I was working basically the entire time. So I had a more or less 8-day out of town work trip where I probably worked in total 70 to 80 hours that week. I was home for 3 days and then had to get on, a 7 a.m. flight to Louisville. As, they mentioned previously, I had not really been around for testing. I was super busy. I had no idea what deck I wanted to play. I didn't even really have a deck. Like, I made my deck Friday morning, and I just wasn't feeling it. I was exhausted. I truthfully didn't really want to be there. And it was nothing to do with the game at all. I just, life. I was super busy. I was super exhausted. We got there Friday. I kind of just stayed in the hotel room mostly Friday because I was just super tired or whatever. And then we get to the event. Round 1 happens. Opening announcements. We've talked previously, it might have even been episode 2, where I talked about the open deck list thing in the policy documents. So in the policy documents that updated a couple months ago, deck lists in the policy documents are open. You get to see your opponent's deck list before every round of Swiss. At the previous event in Albuquerque, that just didn't happen, and they didn't even make an announcement about it. They just start round 1, and then, yada yada. Oh, the deck list software isn't working, so we're not doing it. Okay, weird thing not to announce before the tournament starts, but I guess it can't be helped. Whatever. Opening announcements. Basically, one of the announcements was Marley's Warriors. The card was not properly displaying on the decklist page. So when you had to create your decklist, Marley's Warrior on UGN, Marley's Warrior was just not in the database. So the announcement was people are using proxies if that card was on their deck. When you are looking at your opponent's deck list, tell them what your proxy is or whatever. And I probably looked to somebody next to me, made a comment, and I was like, that's insane, that's even a thing, but whatever. So I sit down for round 1. Deck list software is not working again. Cannot look at my opponent's deck. I learned after the fact that some people, I guess, just handed their decks to their opponent round 1. I did not do that. Nobody around me did that. Nobody did that. I guess I was in a very far corner, so I don't even know what all the announcements even were. I was in the literal, my seating for round 1 was in the literal back corner. They announced the round starts. I call Judge and I go, hey, there was just this announcement about the decklist software and this card not displaying correctly. What is going on? I cannot look at the deck list. And the judge is like, what do you mean you can't look at the deck list? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but here. And he looks at my phone, can't check the deck list. He brings it up to the front, whatever, the TO comes back, and he's just like, yep, deck lists aren't working, I guess. And I'm like, okay. And then he leaves, never get a resolution. My opponent and I are just staring at each other. The timer's been going for 5 minutes, and we're just like, okay. And we just start playing. And I'm like, what is going on? That was insanity. So, already not in a good, headspace, because at the previous event, when the round 1 deck lists were not displaying properly, and at the previous event, the deck lists were just locked the whole event. The event was just not open deck lists at all. And something that for a while I valued about this game, more recently I've stopped caring because I've learned it doesn't actually mean anything, is most of the UVS people are there at the event, and they will just talk to you, and you can tell them, hey, this didn't work, or this wasn't good, and they will give you some answer. At Albuquerque, I went up to, one of the organized play leads, and I said, hey, this decklist thing is crazy. It's literally in the policy documents. And the answer I was given was, yep, my fault for not making an announcement. It's on the Cardeo software is not where it needs to be. This will be fixed. It was supposed to be ready for this event, whatever. I'm like, great. Well, that was a month and a half ago. And this event, it still wasn't working. And that just already, the tournament has not even started yet. I've not even drawn my hand, and I don't think upset is the right word. I guess like frustrated. Like I wasn't like sad. I was just like, that's annoying that like this has been an issue for maybe at this point 3 months. Like I think the policy document update went into effect 3 months ago, maybe even more. It might have gone into effect right after Denver. And it's insanity to me that the policy documents can be updated 4 months before the change is ready. What was the point of updating it? What is going on? Why change anything? Whatever. So round 1 happens. Another announcement they made at the beginning was, this tournament was, I think 200 people were pre-registered, but some people didn't actually end up showing up or whatever. So it was like 170, 180 people. And they were like, this event, was one of the biggest one we've had this year. It'll be 8 rounds of Swiss. There will not be a lunch break because we do want to finish all the rounds of Swiss today. And I was like, great, that, I'm glad they made that decision. I think it'll be very difficult to finish all the rounds of Swiss and have a lunch break. And it'll just like, and I know the whole lunch break thing is divisive somehow. I guess not somehow. Everybody has their own reasons for wanting it or not wanting it. But it was announced ahead of time, not just at the event round 1. It was announced ahead of time there would not be a lunch break. This was on the Discord. This was in the event announcements, like on all of the event pages. Like, there will not be a lunch break. We want to finish this tournament in a reasonable amount of time. Fantastic. Round 1, I think some people had issues reporting their matches. I think even Webb, you had issues reporting your match. It took you like 5 tries, right? Like your match just wasn't reporting properly. So, they make an announcement, table 12 reports your match. And you're sitting there and you're like, I literally did. You go up and then eventually it works or whatever. By the time round 1, which scheduled start time is 10 o'clock. I think by the time we actually sat down and started playing, it was probably 10:15. 11:45, they make an announcement. There will be a lunch break now, after round 1. And in hindsight, I believe we have since learned that happened because the tournament software literally stopped functioning. But that is not the announcement they made. The announcement they made was, due to popular demand, we will be having a lunch break right now. And I think both of you just looked at me to see if my head was still on my shoulders. Like, if my head had not exploded. For those of you that are not familiar, I would say Google the Ben Affleck cigarette meme. Just the meme where they took where it's just Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette. That was literally my face. I was like, like they said, round 2 will begin, like, be seated for round 2 at 1 p.m. And I am just, my soul has left my body. I'm like, this is crazy. I can't do this. And I checked my phone, and it was $28 to change my flight to right now. And I said, goodbye, everyone. Like, this is, I probably just shouldn't have even come here in the first place because I've just been, so exhausted this week, whatever. Like, I've just been so busy. Like, I just can't do this right now. I will not be here until 11 p.m. playing 8 rounds of Swiss. Like, I will die. So I went back to the room. Credit to UVS Games for the venue. The venue was like 5 minutes away from the airport. I walked to my hotel room, got my bags, called an Uber to the airport, and just went home. And I got home before round 4. That's crazy. Like,
that's insane.
I got home before round 4. So that was my experience of just, And there were a couple things, I guess, I want to talk about the very brief amount of time I spent in the venue. I do want to talk about some things that I'm just trying to figure out the best way to say this. I am doing my best not to complain about things that don't actually matter. And I'm doing my best to complain about only the things that I think are very, very important and affect literally everyone. Because this isn't about this shouldn't be this shouldn't be about my experience. This should be about improving the experience for everybody across the board. So there was a fire alarm or some emergency alarm. I think somebody said it was like a tornado alarm round 7 or something. And then all 8 rounds of Swiss didn't even end up actually being played on Saturday. And that was the one where you guys were like, if you were still here, your head would have exploded. Like if the fire alarm went off round 7, you would have combusted.
It was definitely a fire alarm. Otherwise, we would not have evacuated the building.
Sure, fair. You're right.
They got us all out of the building.
Yes,
that is concerns me.
That is a good. That would be very odd if it was a tornado warning and they got you out of the building. Yeah. So yes, it was probably fire alarm. And you're right. Yes, like my body would have shriveled to nothingness and withered if I was in the middle of my turn round 7 and the fire alarm went off. But yes, yeah. So regardless of the fire alarm, it was already like 9 p.m. when you were playing round 7, which is ridiculous. Like that's an embarrassing amount of time to still be in the tournament. And yes, that's a word I chose very deliberately. Like it is embarrassing that it takes that long still, that we've had this many tournaments and we just can't run them. And it's not exclusively on the people in the room running the tournaments. The tournament software doesn't function. It just doesn't work. And this is now far beyond unlucky our tournament software stopped working. It has never worked for almost 2 years now. And it just needs to be fixed or replaced. It's as simple as that. I'm done tolerating and excusing, the tournament software is not working. What can you do? Every other game has tournament software that works. We used to have tournament software that works. And then we replace it for some reason with tournament software that doesn't work. And if our events take 12 hours because the website isn't functional, that needs to be fixed. Just plain and simple.
To enter our deck lists the night before the event. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, the deck obviously, and everybody goes, "Oh, the deck builder's terrible," and they're like, "Yeah, we know it's bad." Well, it's been 2 years. Fix it. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
my deck got deleted 3 times while I was trying to save it.
Your deck got deleted
from scratch.
Yep, you had to restart your deck list 3 times, and that's not an isolated incident. That's not you. That's not user error. That's like that happened to me last event. I have now trained myself the incredibly deliberate way you have to enter all these cards. It's my deck got deleted 3 times because of the name, because I changed the name of it, and then it reverted it, and then that's a whole other thing of just like, yes, I had to make my deck 3 times. You had to make your deck 3 times. I'm not even talking about the deck building software at this point. Like I don't even think there's everyone complains about that one. I don't need to add to the fire of that one. If every single person who's ever used it complains about it and it hasn't been fixed in 2 years, clearly they're incapable of fixing it or they don't care. That's the only conclusions I can come to, because it has literally been 2 years of this does not work. Yeah, we know we're working on it. Clearly nobody is working on it because it has been 2 years and it has not been changed at all. A card not being in a meta-relevant card not being in the database is one thing. Also, just in the double dose of irony, the card Marley's Warriors, the one that was not working in the database, was a jump scare unannounced prize wall promo that that wasn't functioning as a promo either, because maybe it was not even supposed to be there, and like it was just in a shipment and it was just put out on the prize wall. Like, so there are blurry Loch Ness Monster-esque photos of an alt art Marley's Warrior circling around that like
yeah,
and
no, it's
what
the craziest part about that too is like I did a video with like Chris Smith at some point, and we were talking about like what do we feel about like prizing for like regionals and something like that, and I found out live in that video there wasn't going to be unique promos for Louisville. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually incredibly disappointed in them. Then I got there and I found out there are unique promos. Also, we don't have any. And I'm like, okay, can I get some tomorrow? And they go, we have 10 left total. And I go, okay, can I like
What?
leave prize wall tickets here and come pick them up tomorrow? And they go, no, you have to be here when the doors open. And then I go, okay. And obviously I don't do that. And then I get there and someone goes, they had one when the doors opened and the guy in front of me got it. And I went, okay, so they just don't exist. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, did you get any for winning or no?
No,
Oh, no,
we
no.
didn't get any for Top Cut. And I asked too. I was like,
There were
can
no
I get? I was like,
airships or Marley's Warriors.
Yeah,
there were
were
no
6 whatever
airships
it
for
was.
you either?
No
No.
airships.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yep.
Maybe. All right. Sorry. Give me a second. Processing. I might be a little bit less nice about. I might be a little bit less diplomatic about what I was gonna say next.
I got 4 where all paths converge.
Yeah. Whoa.
Wow.
That's the big bucks.
yeah.
Okay.
I walked up and I went. They're like, you can pick 8 of these promos, and I was like, are any of these worth any amount of money? And they went, we don't know. And then I asked someone who runs a store, and I was like, would you pay for any of these? And they went, And then I turned to someone else and I said, would you pay for any of these? And they went, and then I was like, give me 8 cum sinks. And they went, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that card has been registered in deck lists. Give me 8 of that
Yeah.
one, and I
Yeah.
will walk away before I get upset.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Sorry. Need to take a deep breath. Reassess.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Now I'm not even sure which thing. All right. So again. Whew, sorry. This is crazy. I might edit some of this out. I might not. I don't know. My brain is frying right now. This is crazy.
Leave it.
Okay, so I guess the other thing that now that I've learned this, I was gonna say this anyway, but now I'll just say it with a little bit more vitriol. Spewing vitriol, new ultra rare from TMNT. Also, by the way,
Yeah.
available soon in your local game store.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to the Spewing Vitriol podcast. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the past year, literal year, maybe more at this point, every single complaint levied at any of the events has been met with exclusively, yeah, this year's events suck, but next year's will be the best ever. And that just isn't true. I actually think this year's events have all been worse than last year's, which is very impressive, I will say. If I look at the last year's prizing and not even just prizing for Top Cut, prizing for entry, or like participation prizing, just everything. Last year, all 3 regionals per region. So assuming you went to 3 regionals in your region, each one had 3 unique character alt art entry promos. And they were all, I think all 9 of them were fantastic. I think the first ones were the weakest, like the Chibi, Endeavor, and Dabi, and Mirko arguably were the weakest ones, but I think, people really like the Chibi Mirko, and Endeavor was a very good character for a while, so, those were great. Like, the only other alt art Endeavor that existed was literally the world's top 4 prize card and the Chrome run. Right. So, that was a good prize, that was a good entry prize. And then we had the Shigaraki and Dabi and Toga promos for the next one, and I think those were fantastic as well. I really like those. And then we had the Godzilla movie posters, which were incredible, incredible entry promos, incredible ones. Not just from a collector standpoint, but also just they were things that were cool and people wanted them and they had value and they were unique. And it made me not feel like an idiot for showing up to the event. It made me feel like there was a reason to go. And, there were the Top Cut promos were hit or miss. I think the first ones being, Fashion Icon number 10 Pro Hero. Obviously, number 10 Pro Hero is a card that's seen a lot of play. That card was great. and was a really cool alt art. Fashion icon, you could argue should have been always cool, but that's okay. I'm not going to, fashion icon's a fine card. What were the next one? Oh, and then Titan Cliff was the side event entry promo. Actually incredible. Like, just incredible alt art. And then the next season, we had Nice Try, the unplayable spinner one, so whatever, and then fan favorite. Worse, but Nice Try is still good. And then we had History's Greatest Monster, Ferocious Attacker, and Tough Skin, right? Those were the three. So, those were also fine. I think those were also, good cards. And then you can argue the prize wall is an improvement to prizing. And I'll argue, no, it isn't if they forget to bring the prizes. If they advertise the event as your prizing is you get all of the, Wub wins the event. He gets the Top Cut promos, obviously, and then there's the from the prize wall prizing, and then you forget to bring them, and he actually doesn't get the new promo because they were like
hilarious.
What, or not even the new promo. He didn't even get the old one. He didn't even get Airship. He didn't even get like the advertised promo that was coming back. For a little while, I convinced myself that so many people had the feedback at Albuquerque. I wanted to get airships and there just weren't any. Me, I'm one of those people. I got one. I was unable to get more. Saturday morning, they had none left. Like, that's just Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, they had none left. And there was a ton of feedback from people saying, yeah, I was at the event. I really wanted airships. There weren't any left. I couldn't get any, whatever. They announce Louisville that they're bringing airship back. And for a little while, I convinced myself that was a response to feedback that people still wanted to get this card. So they
I thought
were
there'd be loads of them.
So
I thought there'd be so many.
That's what as I said, that's what I convinced myself. I convinced myself, finally, they took feedback and are acting upon it immediately. People couldn't get airships, so they brought all the airships from the warehouse, however many they made, and they're going to be, everyone gets an airship. For walking in the door, they throw a brick of airships at you. And there were none left Saturday morning again. What?
Whoops.
So I don't know, man. Like, I guess I'm just at a loss. I guess I'm just at a loss of every single shortcoming of events in the previous year that in hindsight now, man, I think we had it good last year. We didn't have it good in that there were no tournaments. There were only 3 in the whole year. But wow, did we have it good getting 3 entry promos that were foil? I guess the foil machine ran out of ink, and now our entry promos aren't even foil anymore. But the locals ones are, but the world's participation promos aren't foil. I don't really get.
You see, they stopped printing the promos in foil so that they could print more of them and bring them to the events. And then you're going to ask, well, where are they?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say it's not my department.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just I do my best to try to figure out what's going on, I guess. And it's even when I think more about the card they chose as the entry promo, they chose Pale Rider, an alternate art Pale Rider. The promo is not foil because it's a participation card. Is the logic? However, for 3 years in a row, participation cards have been foil. This year, we decided they're not for some reason. Something. If it was foil, it would have a shim line on it, and you complain about that too. You know what? Fair enough, I guess. If that's the reason, I actually accept that. But I know that's not the reason. Or it can't be, surely. Because then
there's nothing we can do about shim lines.
Yeah, because the Top Gun promo is foil. But anyways, so a non-foil alt art of a card that is foil in its base rarity printing and already has a foil alt art in the same product. Why? I don't know. I guess that one, I think Pale Rider's a fine card. I think that card's good. I don't think it's terrible to get more Pale Riders out there, but why would I use this one? This just doesn't, right. I don't know. I don't want to harp on this aspect so much. I did not mean to talk about the prizing for 10 minutes because I truly think that is the least of my concerns right now. If I'm not even having enough fun to stay in the state of the tournament after round 1, I don't think the prizing is relevant to my concerns. So I am going to to table that for a bit, but just asterisk. The pricing is nonsensical, and it's not even. I don't even think the pricing is. I think the pricing they advertise is actually fine. It just doesn't exist. If that makes sense. If you could actually get the prizes that were advertised to be there, I think it would be perfectly fine. But when you have no more copies of a promo that's advertised by Saturday morning of Albuquerque was like 70 people, how many did you bring? Like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, why are we... And then I guess I'll say again, why are we spending so many resources to make these playmats and these pins that I can't imagine anybody actually redeems their tickets for while there are still promos available? Why are we spending... And have to be more expensive to produce. They have to be. It has to be 10 times more expensive to make a playmat than to make a promo. Probably more than 10 times. So why are we not just making 500 more copies of Airship? I don't know, man. I guess I don't know the specifics. I guess maybe there is a reason. I can't imagine there is one, but maybe there is one, whatever. I think the thing that I want to talk about next, as far as like my I don't know, enjoyment of the tournament goes. One, the fact that the tournament software is not functioning, I've already mentioned. That's insanity and needs to be fixed. Absolutely needs to be fixed. And I'm so tired of shrug shoulders. Well, Card.io. Yeah, we know they're not good. Like, the tournament software is not good. Fix it, please. Someone, anyone, do something. Yes. Like, it can't. Like, the answer can't just be shrug shoulders. It doesn't work for a year and a half, 2 years. That can't be the answer. Okay. I did want to talk about the judge program for a little bit. I'm going to use air quotes. Judge program. The judge program got launched. Only level 1 actually got launched, and level 3 won't, like, the highest level won't be available until next year. Okay, so then the judge program isn't launched, because the judge program, when it's just level 1 as it exists now, is virtually identical to what we had, which is just nothing. And I understand this is a lot of moving parts and it takes a while to get moving, but the judge program, I guess the issue I have is the like self-congratulatory pat on the back of we launched our judge program. You just didn't. Nothing changed. You launched level 1, which is a multiple choice test that takes 10 minutes to finish and doesn't really challenge you much and doesn't mean anything. I don't know. And I'm hoping the rest of it is more robust and there is some training involved and whatever. But as it stands now, the game still doesn't have a judge program. We are in the same boat as we were. And I guess this is less of an extension. This is less talk of a judge program and more of like something that blew my mind. And maybe, and I don't think this is something either of you would have necessarily noticed or thought about, but round 1, there was also an announcement. When they were announcing, what tables were the feature match or whatever, they also called table numbers to bring their decks to the back to get a deck check. And did either of you remember hearing that? Or
they did that all weekend, and
okay.
I believe that was the reason things were so slow.
So
I'm pretty sure
that could be another reason why things were so slow. But do either of you understand why making an announcement over a loudspeaker for a table to go self-report their deck check is insanity?
Yeah.
If you are cheating with malicious intention and your table number gets called for you to walk to the back and voluntarily hand over your deck, you're gonna fix it before you hand your deck over. That's not how deck checks work. That's nothing. All like that one that one blows my mind. And it's like, I don't know if it's just because I guess I've only been, going to events for universes for I guess 2.5 years now, 3 years, I guess 2.5 years. I think 2023. I don't remember. Maybe it's been 3 years at this point. But
Might be 3.
you know, I don't recall them ever having deck checks like so. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first mid-round random deck check I've encountered at these events, and
Yeah.
that's not how you do it. I'm not a. This is not a. There are many ways to run mid-round deck checks moments. That's just not how it's done, and I don't know if it's because Universes has never had mid-round deck checks. Like I haven't had any that I can recall, or there haven't been any. I don't, but again, there have been tournaments for this game going for a decade before I started playing, or more. So I don't know if it's just because there've never been any, but like quite literally, that's just not how it's done. And it doesn't solve anything. When you do a deck check like that, that only exclusively punishes people who don't know any better, I guess. I mean, if your intention, so the intention of deck checks should be to dissuade cheating, which thankfully this game does not really have, or at least I have not observed cheating to this, to the degrees that I think other games have it. Like, it is extremely few and far between. It's very rare, and that's great. That
I'm pretty bad at seeing cheating happen.
Yeah, sure, yes.
I usually find out later.
Yeah, but deck checks are a tool that judges have to dissuade cheating and to catch cheating. But generally, how it works is a judge will take your deck after you have presented your deck to your opponent. After you have finished shuffling and presented your deck, that is when a judge will collect the decks. A judge will come to the table and say, your table's been randomly selected for a deck check. They cannot pick up their deck anymore. They can't do anything. They've presented their deck, then you take them. So you are taking their deck in the state they've presented it to their opponent. So if there is an issue, if they are cheating by putting cards in their deck that aren't on their deck list, or pre-siding because they know the matchup and they, put a card from their side deck into their main deck. Like, those are just some of the ways that people historically have cheated by tampering deck lists. You catch it right then and there, and you catch them in the act. If you make an announcement, table 15, please report to the deck check area, they'll just fix their deck before they hand it over. And now,
I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying is I doubt that either of you had thought about that way, because you guys because like, again, I'm saying this as somebody who has judged card game tournaments for over a decade. I'm not and I think many card games have very anti-player policies for their judge programs, where many of the policies are built assuming everybody is cheating at all times. And I think that is very bad. However, I think the opposite in this game. This game, the policies seem to be built assuming nobody is cheating ever at any times. And that's also a problem. If the policies are all built assuming that it's impossible for anybody to even fathom cheating, that's when somebody will cheat. And that's where it gets really, really difficult to catch it. And I think we need, more of a median, and that can be done. But and I'm not just trying to shout from the heavens like, oh my God, they're so incompetent. It's just like, I truly believe it's just something that nobody has thought about. And
no, like the judge program in its entirety kind of feels like an afterthought for them.
Yeah.
Insofar as like they're putting out a lot of other fires, or at least they're saying they're trying to. And then someone in the back, while people are piling on to things they need to fix or do better, goes, yeah, and what about a judge program? And then like someone writes it on their list and makes a multiple choice test, right?
Yeah. But I just, that one to me was just kind of like just one of the, it was icing on the cake of just like, of the what is going on, of the self-reporting deck check every single round that definitely had judges who have never done a deck check before doing it. And
right.
I don't recall there being a deck check guide in any of the policy. I guess I haven't checked recently, but I don't recall there being a deck check guide in any of the policy. I'm curious who was running the deck checks, who was doing it. No, like actually, like genuinely, I'm curious why the decision was made. If this is some sort of like we need to train judges like ahead of Riftbound type thing, like whatever. UVS is doing organized play for Riftbound, but I actually don't know what their like involvement is. Like I'm not sure. I'm it was just it seemed odd, and it seemed like an odd decision also to add this layer to what was the largest tournament so far of the year. I think if you added this to Albuquerque or to Denver, which had 70 people, I'm sure it would have slowed things down, but it would have been more manageable. Doing it to an event 2.5 times the size doesn't make sense to me, I guess. And I don't know. I'm curious what the direction was. I'm curious what the methodology of the deck check was. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who has a lot of experience judging card game tournaments. And even recently, like 2 months ago, I was the assistant head judge of a Yu-Gi-Oh regional with 400 people, and I was very hands-on, and I was training a lot of newer judges, and I have been judging regional events and larger for over a decade. So there are many people who've been doing it longer, but I like to believe I have a good bit of experience and that I am pretty familiar with like best practices of these types of things. And that's also why I think it it bothers me so much, like when the tournaments aren't running on time or stuff like that, because I've done it. And when people complain about things, and there's always an argument of like, well, if you think it's, why don't you do better? It's like, I have done better. Like I literally have. Yeah. And
like, you can literally check my work. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's like, to me specifically, it's so frustrating. And yes, I'm incredibly sympathetic to all of the issues going on. The reason I think my tolerance just ran out this weekend is because this is like the 6th time in a row and nothing has been done. And I just don't know. And I am more than willing to like if it is truly just a matter of this is uncharted territory, and nobody in the community has really had experience like how other games are doing their judge programs, or how these things are really done, because the only deck checks I've ever seen in this game have been the top cut ones that really time is not a concern, right? Like there is no time limit on the top 16 players present their decks to the judges and they are checked, and round 1 is not started yet. Like there's not a round timer ticking on. You're not giving a time extension. You're not holding up the tournament by 3 hours because every single deck check adds 20 minutes to every round. Like if that's just something that's never been done, like I don't know, man, I'll help. Like I can train people. Like I'm very familiar with these systems. Like I will do it within reason for free. I don't care. Like if that is actually something that needs to be done, I will step up. Like I do like that this game is very community driven, and I have a lot of knowledge on these things, and I will help if that is something that is needed. Like I have a lot of experience doing this. So anyways, that maybe is the end of my Louisville, experience. And I don't know if either of you had any, like, I know neither of you had, the same visceral reaction I did to it, to the way it was running, but what was your feelings when things just were, as they were? Like, how did you, like, when they said we're doing round 8 tomorrow, like, how did it make you feel?
So it was weird for me specifically in that I was letting it kind of wash over me. Like I had gone undefeated in Swiss. So like I ID'd with my opponent in round 7. Then the fire alarm gets pulled and they're like, hey, we're evacuating the building. And I was like, wow, I would be so irritated if I was in the tournament. I was like, wow, if this round mattered to me, I would be so annoyed. So I just was walking around outside and like checking in with people and being like, you think you got this round when you come back in? Like blah blah blah.
Oh, so you already ID'd that round, yeah.
Yes, yeah, literally. Like I walked over, saw that I was playing Justin Birch because we were the only two undefeateds, and I went, cool, see you in like an hour. And then we left. Then the fire alarm gets pulled and we have to exit. And I'm just walking around outside and I'm like trying to, you know, I'm trying to see if anyone has already gotten punked. I'm trying to see if people are like feeling good so that like when we get back in the room, I can know like if I'm walking around like what match that I want to watch. Like if I'm talking to one of my friends and they're like, oh, I'm about to kill the fuck out of this guy when we get back in there, I'm like, hell yeah. And then I'll like go walk by their table. So that part didn't affect me. Then I get back inside and I completely miss the announcement that they're moving the next round to tomorrow morning. And then I get back in and I'm like, damn, we're going to get out of here real late. And they're like, oh, you didn't hear. The next round is tomorrow. And I was like, you're fucking with me.
And you were like, Ryan's head would be on the floor if
I literally I had to. Well, first I verified, and then I was like, thank God Ryan went home.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it was surreal because like this entire tournament, it's like it's literally happy castle, scary castle, where like round one, everything happens, lunch break is called. I am like my deck.
Round one, for the record, round one lunch break is devious work. No matter what. Round 1 of 8 break, devious. Yes. regardless of the. So what I will say about that super quickly is I also think if the announcement had just been, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the tournament software is not cooperating. We're gonna have a lunch break, like to fix that or whatever. I don't think I would have crashed out the way I did. I unironically think it was just the way the announcement was made just destroyed my sanity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And by the time someone had said, oh, I think it's just because of the tournament software, I was at the airport already. Like, I was over it. I was like, yeah, checks out. Goodbye, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, this is whatever. But
like, yep. Card IO moment.
Man,
yep, yeah. I'm out of here.
Yeah. If only, like no way to prevent this says only game where this happens regularly.
Happens consistently. So like I find out that after the fact and I'm like, that's insanity. And then I go, okay, well, at least I can ID like and not have to be here tomorrow. And then I talked to one of the judges and I was like, hey, is the next our next round's pairing is going to be posted before we like go and then we just play the round the next day? Like, how's this going to work? If I'm IDing with my last round opponent, do I have to be here? And they're like, yes, you have to show up at 9 when the doors open, tell a judge you're IDing, and then leave.
That's insane.
And I'm like,
that's insane.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, can I, after I do that, like leave my deck with a judge so that the deck check for top cut can be done and I can fuck off and go get breakfast? And they went, we're not doing that until after the rounds end, so you'll have to be back here in an hour. And I'm like, so my reward for going undefeated in Swiss is getting up early, coming to the venue for no reason, telling a judge something that I told all of you today, leaving for an hour, coming back, handing you a deck, fucking off for another hour, and then playing top cut. And they're like, yes. And I was like, all right, cool.
Got a lot of Shadowverse games in.
I did, yeah. I taught Web physical Shadowverse. That was fun.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was surreal. It was like, it's one of those things where like you're in a spot where it's a thing that's happening to other people or it's like largely not affecting you. So you're just nodding and going, damn, that's crazy every like 5 minutes, where I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. Damn, that's crazy. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And the swan song, the last damn, that's crazy. I probably would have been insanely tilted when I walked up to like the booth afterwards to get my prizing when I died in top 8 and asked, wait, so like none of the unique promo for this weekend were saved for Top Cut? And they're like, no. And I was like, do I get like, are there airships left? And they went, no. That was the last Damn That's Crazy. That was the swan song. But I was just so happy that I had made Worlds basically on points that I was just like, what can you do?
Yeah, no.
I mean,
no way to fix
obviously,
that.
like,
yeah,
I'm in a different planet when they're telling me that, and I'm just like, okay, I'll take 4 of each of these
whatever. Who
Exandria
cares?
promos.
Yeah,
Give me
Yeah,
4
yeah.
where all paths
Yeah.
converge. Anyways,
it's
yeah.
It's the least of your concerns, but it shouldn't be a concern. Is my
Correct.
argument. Yes,
Yes,
it's the least of
agree.
your concerns, but it is on the list. But it is wild to me that you won the tournament and we're not given the promo that was unique to this event. That is,
Yeah.
can we like just take a minute, think about that?
Yeah. No,
What more could you have done? What more did they want from you?
showed up
The
at
first
8
person at
8 a.m. on
yes.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Elbowed my way past everybody.
Literally, like what did they? Okay. Anyways, yeah.
There was
Hmm.
I was gonna say, I think that the best part of the weekend was like the play and hanging out with people, and the tournament, depending on how you did, just kind of happened. Like it was a thing that happened. I don't want to talk more about it. I just wish these things were fixed. I wish that we didn't have to crash out about them. I wish they just didn't consistently happen. But like they do, and I guess here we are.
I will say on a positive note, the stream.
The stream was fantastic.
What I heard,
the stream was
there you go,
fantastic.
actually.
The stream was
Yeah, we- I was
fantastic.
gonna say, we
I would
can
like
end on a
to.
high
That
note.
is
Yes,
almost entirely Tam Cardwell's
Yes,
doing.
that
Yes,
was
Tam
phenomenal.
The UVS people who agreed to do it. Like, thank you
Yes.
guys.
Yes.
Huge.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes.
That was.
If
When I
that
look
was
at Denver,
so sick.
when you compare like Denver, where there's just like 40 minutes of dead air between like them talking about something and then nothing, and then the next round pops up and like the stream is cutting out and there are all these problems and stuff, to like what we got. Huge.
Yes,
Incredible.
huge improvement, I will say. And that's great.
Yeah,
But
it was
the stream
wasn't
being
good. It was
better
40
doesn't
minutes of
help
copyright
anybody
infringement.
at the tournament. But then I left the
Doesn't
tournament.
help
so
people
then-
who are there.
Yeah,
You're
but then it did help
Agreed.
me. It helped me after I
So
left.
then, yeah.
So yeah,
There you go.
the stream was
Weird. Yeah.
was a phenomenal improvement. Like in unquantifiable improvement. Like
very good job.
incomprehensible.
Kudos to Sam Bradwell and the team over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that. Like I was gonna say, if we're gonna end on like a high note, it's that for sure. I think we did. I don't know how we're doing on time. I think we may have talked for quite a while.
We're fine.
We might not have. Okay. We could also. You know what? I was gonna say we could cut out the part where I say how are we doing on time. We're not going to.
We're not going
it's
to.
Fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. So we're doing okay on time.
We've
which means
got.
that we can start talking about the new Turtles cards that are going to
Yes.
break everything.
There's a lot. And I don't know how many we're actually going to get to. We're not going to talk about literally every single card.
Well, you know what? We can, in the interest of not talking about every single card, what we can do is we can start from Wub to Ryan to me, and we can go, hey, what are the cards that you are the most excited about for Turtles that are broken? Not like that are cool, that are just like abjectly like, this is disgusting. Like,
well, it's kind of tough because a lot came out during the tournament, so I'm not actually sure I've seen them all. I think I have, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I'm also not sure I've seen them all, but I think I've seen them all. So we have talked about Hang 10 previously, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scheme we just saw this evening is obviously insane, and is the most like custom combo card I think they printed ever, maybe. Like it's wild for sure. Outside of that, I mean, the ultra rare's got a lot better, so ups on that.
Yeah.
I love the 7-diff asset. It's really goofy. There's a lot of stuff. I kind of have to. I mean, barely process the fact that I won the event. So I'm at the point where I'm finally starting to read these cards and get to it, but I haven't really thought about much of them in decks outside of, oh my god, this is such a custom Hawks card. I'm sure Ryan has done a lot more thinking about these because he's had 2 days to think about them, and they are Hawks cards, so he has.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the set definitely got better. A lot of there's some head scratchers for sure, but I think overall we're looking good, right? Like,
yeah,
I think
I also need to amend something. I talked a lot about my absolute disdain for the card layout, and I think I need to amend this. The reason I had such a visceral reaction to it was the previews only previewed one action, one attack, one foundation, like one backup, right? And just when you look at one, like they are incomprehensible. They all look the same, and that was where, like, in fact, Mitch had like 5 minutes where he thought an action was a foundation or whatever.
Yes,
And
yeah.
when I look at all of the cards laid out, and obviously there are significantly more foundations and significantly more attacks than backups and assets and whatever. When I look at a foundation, I think it is very clear it is a foundation at all times. When I look at an attack, because attacks have so many more numbers on them, I think it is very clear I'm looking at an attack. I will say that was something I definitely didn't think about when I was just looking at them all together. I will still maintain backups and assets of lower rarities look and actions look far too similar to foundations. So I'm going to dial back my disdain for the design. Yeah. But like Mechazoid looks like a foundation. like that it just does, you know, like the low rarity backups just look like foundations. And I think that's something I wish could have had a little bit more time put into, make it differentiate a little bit. But I think the ultra rares look great. I think they're all pretty clear. I think almost every ultra rare is an attack. I don't think there is an ultra rare foundation at all.
The schemes are ultra rares.
The schemes are ultra rare actions. Are there two ultra rares? Two ultra rare schemes?
Yes. One's an infinite and the other would be an infinite if the unique rule doesn't change, which we understand it.
Yeah, but I mean, there are no ultra rare foundations, right?
Yes. Not that
we've seen. And there are no ultra rare assets that we've seen. Yeah. I haven't seen. Yeah. I don't even see the schemes. Maybe they're up here. Oh, they're just not on the they're not on the spoiler page yet. It's fine. Yeah, so that's what I'll say, I guess, is that I think the uncommon and common assets, backups, and actions literally do just look like foundations. However, the whole set has been revealed, and there are like 7 of them total. So
yeah,
I truly think it was just the way the first cards were revealed. Unfortunately, maybe the least visually clear way possible for them to have done that. And then now that we've seen,
I do think in your defense specifically, you did say something along the lines of like that could be the case.
Like I did say we haven't seen the ultra rare, so it is possible that they look different. Yeah, I did, but I figure I need to clear that. Yeah.
You also immediately after that went, but if that is the case, why would they do it in this way / order?
Did say that, didn't I? Wow, I'm a genius.
Yeah. You are. So... yeah, I was gonna say we each get one moment of oracle prophecy, and that was yours.
Yeah. All right. Anyways,
so you're fine. Yeah, I was gonna say you did your proof positive. Like, you're fine. Yeah, I was going to say like ultra rares or whatever, everything looks like it's supposed to, right? Like I could tell everything apart at ultra rare on up, but that like might be a separate problem, is that sometimes you can't from, you know, uncommon below.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess as far as stuff that I think is broken from Turtles, like I have talked about it a lot. The best thing that you can do in this format / the past like 2, I feel like, is press buttons. And the Wingnut like new 4-diff ultra rare.
That one.
Wingnut Sabotage.
As a static, your opponent cannot press buttons on an attuned symbol with Deku. Yeah. And also it taps an asset. So like, what? It's also on a 4, because like I was telling
a very banned retro card called Fatality. It says your opponent can't play abilities during this attack, and it's a 0 mid-0, and it says it can't deal damage, and that's important. It was still banned, but that's important because you shouldn't be able to play an attack that your opponent can't press a button during.
That doesn't say flash on it, and that isn't designed around that being the case.
Yeah, because
Right.
Flash is also, you can't press button. This card just says I press all my
Flash is
buttons, you
just
press no
responses,
buttons. Yeah,
Right.
well,
I
this
don't
card
know what
says
they.
your opponent can't play enhances, but so you still get
Yeah,
a response speed, but you can play enhance. Like if this card was
yeah,
Flash, we would just shrug and go, Flash, void symbol, okay. But it's like
sure. Yeah,
it's super giga omega kill your opponent super
It's
Flash.
yes.
it's like a Pandora's box, right?
Yeah.
Like who knows what your opponent is going to get to do with the whole enhanced step where you are
Yeah.
not allowed to press anything.
Yeah.
Right. Also, it's attuned, so it's not even like they have to pick a symbol to main symbol this on, and you can prepare around your opponent being able to do
Oh, it
that.
can be anything.
Now, if your opponent shows up with the swirly card on their character, you have to be worried about, all of my best buttons don't exist.
Yep.
Also, in like, not that this is like matters for the whole format, but in Deku specifically, like that card is a 4, which means that I could jettison my entire staging area and play it and check a 3 and it would still kill you because I'll just commit my character.
Yeah.
If it was a 5, there would be a real risk involved with turning my entire staging area sideways, playing it on a 5, checking a 3 and going, "Uh-oh." But like now that doesn't happen. Like you just go
Mm.
every form in the multiverse, play the kill you card. Did you respond to play? No. Then I get to
Then suffer.
juggle your dead body.
Yeah,
I get
yeah.
I get to Soul Calibur juggle your dead body, and you have to
Yeah.
watch me press all of the buttons. It's like, all right.
I mean, like, yes, it's like what's the answer? Runaway? Like that's like what like
Yeah.
a damage step answer? Like other than yes, like once you get to the enhanced step, like it's
Rising uppercut.
Yeah, what do you
rising
do now?
upper. Yeah, rising. Oh, is it a high?
Yeah, it's not.
Is
high.
it not a ranged?
It's not a range.
Oh,
It's
thank
a
God.
tech.
It's a tech.
Ah, well,
We're
they thought,
However,
they thought
it
of
being
everything.
a tech means the Exandria one diff stacks it, so that's also kind of like
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now the combos I want to talk about don't seem nearly as impressive when we're talking about Wingnut Sabotage, kill your opponent twice. But
Yeah, whoops.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems pretty easy to use the new scheme in some characters. I think what's it called?
Yeah.
Equipment heist.
Equipment heist.
That card-
Yeah, equipment.
Yeah, we're going on a
equipment
heist for sure.
So-
Hawks is
Yes,
going on a
yeah.
heist.
I know
Finally.
you're over here with your list of assets that you've ever played in Hawks. You're like, I get all of them. And
Yeah.
I'm over here like I'm tutoring airship and picking up a feather, and then tutoring mimicry and copying feather control and removing it and picking up a feather and doing it 4 more times. And like I am going like
This is
crazy
the
places
closest,
with this card.
dude. This is the closest thing to like birthing pod loops that we actually have in this game, where like you're daisy chaining. Like I am going to go grab this, which will let me pick this up and play it again, and then I'll grab this, which will.
If you play Equipment Heist, if your opponent plays Equipment Heist, like I will like declare this maybe. I think if you have Equipment Heist and 3 attacks in Hawks, 2 of them being feathers, I think you have a 95% chance to kill your opponent that turn. Because if you build your deck correctly with the proper setup, like you can, even with the assumption that obviously the Airship Infinite won't exist based on some information that we've seen, right? Of just like the unique keyword is being changed to some capacity, like whatever. Because on other characters, you could infinite with Airship on like rolling 6s or 7s. On Hawks, you could do it on rolling 1s. Because you could just play a literal infinite number of Hawk's Feather. And they're on rolling 3s, which is the same thing because you check a 3, whatever. So it's literally unfailable. And assuming there was no change to the unique rule, it is a literal infinite on rolling 3s you can do whenever. Because you just airship feathers to your hand infinitely, and they're 1 mid 3s, and it's just game. Assuming the airship thing, what?
If you run out of cards in deck, you can cycle. Not infinite.
Probably not, because when you check it, your deck would cycle, then you would build the airship. Okay, so you could, if you cycled all copies of your airship on your first cycle, yes. So if you didn't kill them in your first 60 attacks, then yes, it's possible. It's possible that if they blocked 60 attacks, then you're right. You could cycle and not have the infinite. But as it stands now, assuming that doesn't work, you'd still probably play 1 airship because whatever. You could play Mimicry. You could play Hawks on Evil and play Mimicry and copy Feather Control. And in Hawks, feathers are not 1 damage, they're 3 damage. And if you combo it with another Turtles card that we're going to talk about, I guess we'll talk about it now, setting the standard is a good attuned blitz that says for the rest of this turn, your attacks become 4/4. So Feather comes in as 4/4, and then with its enhance, it becomes a 4/6. You get to play like 8 to 9 4 mid sixes, just
That's pretty
for
good.
basically no cost, like for very little cost. So I'm not sure this is exactly what you'll do. I feel like what you'll probably do is just like Feather Storm, add 2 feathers to card pool, get an asset on your first attack. Then just chuck your feather controls to pick up a feather, play a real attack like setting the standard or something, get another asset. I think you'll probably get Team Doctor, then you'll probably get one of the assets that gives damage, or you'll just get Airship first. Pick up feather, play feather, get another action or get another asset like anti-personnel VME, like something that gives stats. Play your other feather, get another asset, and even if you don't kill them, that turn, you set up 4 assets for essentially free that you're so far ahead. Like instead of getting the damaging assets, you can just build Airship, Team Doctor, Ichigaki, Eden Box. And the sword. What's it called? The one that commits when you take 5 and they the one that seals. Sort of Duathar or something? Sort of something.
Dwethvar.
Yeah. So you can just build 4 to 5 defensive assets pretty much at no cost, like as close to no cost as imaginable. And if you just play attacks that generate any sort of advantage in addition to this, then you're just so far ahead that it's really, really hard to lose from that position. Or as I said originally, you just go the game plan of kill your opponent. Equipment Heist is either a +5 defensive asset advantage engine or broken kill your opponent is what it will be in this character. So, if you play on Evil, you're getting mimicries, whatever. If you're playing on the other symbols, you're probably building Eden Box and Team Doctor and defensive actions. But this card is insanity, I think. And we'll see what the rule change to unique ends up being. The other action, I think Wub can speak more to this one. The one that builds all the Mechazoids. Or not.
There is like
sorry, I had the mute on.
Yeah.
So yes, it is an infinite with Falling Titans, which is certainly a choice. After thinking about this one a bit, it's extremely strong. I won't say it's not. But it's on rolling 6s on symbols that one of the symbols it requires, the life symbol, is not on AOT characters with Void, right? So your choices then become, as we said earlier, Deku 6, haha, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's phantom threading you anyway.
Yep.
Jin from Yu Yu Hakusho. Okay, nice, great. I look forward to seeing Jin at the top tables again, I guess. And Allura. And Allura also takes a long time, and the other option would be with Chaos and City Rampage, and that's like kind of, I don't want to say it's Magical Christmas Land, but my initial reaction is sort of in that vein where you would need 2 actions and the Falling Titans to make it on rolling 4s, and then you're also playing on the Chaos symbol, and that means you kept 2 actions in hand potentially and drew like very little for turn or something. There's definitely the side of this, like, so the flip side though, I will say, is that you have the Falling Titans in your stage, right? Because you can draw that. And in that case, that that's a bit more sus. But I don't know. I think there's definitely a dangerous path with this card. It's a very easy infinite, and it's curious that they chose to go with this. It's not like they didn't play these cards together, right? Surely, because they came out one set apart.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the thing about the interactions with it, like, I guess where my mind is having trouble wrapping my head around these interactions, where almost all of these interactions are symbols that are not shared by the AOT cards. which means that in theory there is no way to use them together because all the turtle symbols only have all the turtle characters only have 2 symbols, all the OT characters only have 2 symbols, and there's no overlap of any of them really for these symbols. And then we just expand our minds 1% and find a character printed a year ago that has 3 symbols, and then suddenly we've unlocked like nuclear fusion. And it's like, okay,
another symbol. Like,
and it's like, yes, like Brad Boimler will just falling Titans you to death, I guess, with Mechazoids. Like, sure, he can, I suppose. Like, if someone's gonna do it, might as well be him. Or Eraserhead 3, like, might as well. You know, like, I don't know.
Eraserhead 3 still exists. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he exists for a little while longer, and he has all life void.
Whoa.
Yeah. Really makes you think.
Yeah, look forward to that at Atlanta.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because, like, I think people will try and do some of this stuff. I think the payoff is actually good enough that people will attempt it.
Yeah, well, the payoff is you win the game instantly. So
yeah.
That's part of what if you were watching like the stream over the weekend and just in general, like when you look at what it looks like to be on the other side of getting Falling Titans like 7 times, you know that you're dead, your opponent knows that you're dead, everyone watching knows that you're dead. You just kind of sit there and hope that your opponent somehow like drops the combo, or that you can like block one of them, DR one of them, and maybe they check like 7 3s in a row.
Yeah.
But like that's a good inevitability to play towards. Cards are allowed to be strong like that. It's just a matter of like
the problem is how quickly can they be online, right? Like that's the issue. And I think that's like you could just draw these. The setup required if you just draw them is nothing. Like, you probably won't draw them together turn 2, but you could.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's possible.
Yeah, and then you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. But, I mean, if Allura does just go scheme on a 6 or whatever, Falling Titan, or City Rampage Falling Titans, and then just checks a bunch of 5s, like, it doesn't take that much.
No, not particularly.
Okay, so to be fair, I guess this has, quote, kind of existed with, like, the fictitious flock combos. Like, no one really does them. However, they are, a thing. Like, you could hit a backup, or you could build a couple backups, and then, like, hit enough of them that you're able to send enough Falling Titans at your opponent. And the decks that we sort of built around that were, like, 80% 6s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you weren't running 5 checks, so you're not committing anything to do it. This is a bit more real than that, and I guess we're kind of like not sure if it breaches where the threshold is, where it stops becoming this like fake thing and like is a real thing all of a sudden.
And right, exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's at least from a high level view, it's like, okay, well, this seems concerning.
Yeah, that's kind of just like that's kind of the theme of Turtles, is like all of us going, this is probably too good, and then everyone going, we'll see, right? We're like, I had conversations with people over the weekend. I was like, it is insane how many things that they give to like Deku specifically, or like this or blah blah blah, and they're just like, yeah, well, we'll see. It's like, okay, I guess
we sure can. I guess that is that is an option.
Like, I don't know. You gave me like 3 attuned symbols support for my character that has 5 symbols that I was already very happy with. We'll see.
Oh no, you're in heaven. Yeah.
All right. Are we gonna talk about? I want to. Well, let's talk about this one. I think I might actually be angry about. Dumbfounded.
Okay.
This one baffles me because we have been getting drip fed, unplayably bad 0 diffs for however long, because they want to have more control over zeros or something or whatever, and zeros are too good or whatever, because the sages are getting too good. Even if they're zeros, you build too much. And then Dumbfounded is just a super 0 diff. Like, yes, it doesn't have an ability in your stage, and it's not a good block, but it is a 3 diff 5 with the text, "This card ignores progressive difficulty," which means no matter what, on your turn 1, you can build this as your last foundation. Assuming you only play three checks in your deck, you can build this. Your hand could be 3-2-1-0 and then dumbfounded and it ignores progressive, and then another dumbfounded and it ignores progressive. And they check no matter what. This is better than a 0 diff. This is like a -2 diff, essentially.
Yeah,
that's what this is.
It also has the added benefit of just like on its own beating half of the like block tricks that say, hey, stop playing attacks halfway through your string. Because if you go, I will Airy Smiles block you, you have only added 1 progressive to your opponent's turn, as opposed to making them make a real check, like 3 or 4 attacks into their string, and then having them try to make the last one. Because they just go, okay, yeah, cool, I'll clear that with this, and then I'll try this on a 7 instead of an 8. Or like on an 8 instead of a 7, right? Yeah. And I don't know, we were already like min-maxing our early builds by playing 0 diffs with quote unquote no text or like no defensive abilities or resources on them, and sometimes bad block mods, just so that we could build wider. I would play probably 4 copies of this in every character that has the earth symbol on it.
This is also better than a 0 for, there are many, many, many effects now.
It blocks the siege.
Well, no, because yes, but there are a bunch of cards in this set that are committed foundation in your stage, and I said a bunch. It could only be like 2 that I'm just remembering them as reading them multiple times and forgetting they existed. But that are commit foundation in your stage. This attack gets damage equal to its difficulty. So this is +3 damage.
Right.
There's there's a very good card. Attack Titan emerges. You pop this, build a 2 diff from your discard pile, because your super duper 0 diff is actually a printed 3. In Byakko, this is a 3 diff in his stage. Just for free, basically. Like, because you would just play this, obviously. Yeah, sometimes he has 5s, but this is a 3, like whatever.
So I think the weird part about this is going to be, clearly cards that are currently being printed are somewhat stronger than like I want to say sets 2 MHA until like Girl Power. Like Yu Yu Hakusho is a bit of an exception, but like we've seen this general upward trend. Then AOT comes out and these cards are really strong, but they do this split when they go to Turtles and none of the symbols are shared, or very few of them. So then when you get to the future and we print a character that has Earth and Death, and we're playing our fake 0 and then Attack Titan emerges building in something, then we're gonna be like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Right now, we think about Earth Death characters and we're like, I don't know, Bui, I guess.
Yeah.
Sick.
Like, I mean, no, I agree with that, and it's and that's kind of been my problem with the attuned display. I mean, it's Grog is what it actually is, probably, right? Like, Grog is the Earth Death character, but it's like that's been my problem with this, like with this attuned symbol split for the longest time, is eventually, allegedly, we will have sets with characters with symbols with some more crossover, because they're choosing the symbols based on what represents the world or whatever. And I guess there were no evil people in AOT. Not quite sure about that one, but it's okay.
I haven't seen the show.
Yeah, I'm not quite positive, but it's okay. A lot of death for sure, and no water. That's definitely.
Yep.
And when we have something that has, as you said, like when we have all of the symbols, and we just have new symbol combinations on modern characters that have power crept old characters, it will be insane. And I'm not looking forward to it, but
when a good Life Void character comes out, like a new powerful one,
yes,
and then it's just casually running the infinite in addition to whatever its kit does, like no kits aren't a thing, you know what I mean.
Also, for whatever it's worth, like we do have like players' character cards coming out, and like when you win something,
that's a whole can of worms.
You can literally go, okay, I just won Worlds 2025. What is the most broken combination of symbols that I can have that starts in 2025's like set of cards? Like what is a broken symbol combination for that year that does not rotate until I rotate? And then just make an effect around that, or like make something to do with those cards, and then you just have like another nightmare headache thing.
Yeah, so the thing about that is like the pipeline is not the fastest. I know it's faster now, but
Mhm.
I'm thinking more of like the accidental ones, right?
Yeah.
Like someone's just, oh yeah, my favorite combination is life void death or whatever,
Mhm.
Like
and then
when
like
you
turtle
chose
happens to come
order,
out at the same time.
yeah, like Mitch, when you put order on your
Mhm.
character, you didn't know negotiations, the one that came in. Like that
No,
card wasn't we didn't know about that card. Like
no,
that's
not at all. And people
that's
were,
like
yeah, people were pissed about my character effect. AOT wasn't announced as an IP when I had made my effect, I don't think. So like everyone's like, "You're so broken with VME. Why did you do that?" I was like,
how
"I
would
didn't know
how
what
would
that meant. I didn't.
yeah.
I had only gotten to the part of the show where Aaron like flips on his head trying to ride the thing. I didn't know that was like a feature. I didn't know it was going to be that important."
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it
yeah,
is
it's
like the
it's
characters that have already been designed, right? Like we have no idea what
right.
symbols these cards are going to be on. They could be on anything, and they could be on
Correct. Yeah.
symbols that overlap. So
Yeah. But like I don't know. That's less important to me, realistically
yeah,
speaking,
I
than
agree.
just like design headaches for the future. Because like as dumb as it is to say, or like as oh well you have one, so of course you think that. It's like the character cards should be strong. They should not be broken. And that's like the job of the people who make them, like A, the champions, and B, the people who are like helping them design them to make that the case. But like they are just randomly inserted into like sets or like rotations or blocks, and there's nothing that you can really do about it if your character accidentally inherits something crazy, right?
Yeah, such as
Yeah.
VME. It's a good thing you
Yeah,
picked a VME symbol. Wait,
right. Wait a minute. Yeah,
Oops.
yeah,
yeah, but I mean, I'm sure we'll think about this when he makes his character, so like it's fine.
Yeah. You have so much more faith in me than I do.
um I think that's probably good enough, right? I think we within 2 weeks from now, like by the next episode, we will probably be talking about what like Turtles pre-releases will have happened by then. I think, right?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
well, I'm sure we'll have played 45 games with Hawks by then.
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure. Ryan and I will
we'll have a
each
bit more of a
Ryan and I will
qualified
each
opinion on
individually
these
have
cards.
7 unique deck lists of our chosen mans.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. There is
Yeah.
something I wasn't even certain I was gonna play any copies of Superfly Stomp. It's the Fortif. It's Armageddon Night. It sends
Yeah.
a card from your deck to the graveyard, and
Mhm.
it when I was looking at it, I was like, well, it sends Feather, like that's okay. It's good in Superfly in that it just sends the schemes that he gets to stuff his card pool with, and I was like, I don't think there's really any application other than sending a Feather, and like I wasn't playing the one before that like searches Feathers, so like would I really play this? And then I have come to the conclusion that Hawks specifically is one of two of God's chosen. Hawks
Mhm.
and Jin Kazuma get to play extra cheese and Superfly Stomp in the same deck. So if you don't need a feather, you can just send extra cheese, which builds itself when it gets sent to the discard pile.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
you can just
It
build
builds it committed, right?
builds a committed, yeah. And in Hawks, that foundation actually has text because it is flipped for +2 speed.
Oh,
So
Okay, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yep. So
that
you
is
can do
neat.
that. So if you don't need to send a feather, if you need to send a feather, it's also just a 1 low block. It's just a +1 low, 4 low 4 with Frenzy, which in Hawks, Frenzy can sometimes matter because if you do a Feather Storm, Feather play, and then just go, okay, Frenzy, it's probably like +3
Yeah.
+3, right? So
Yeah.
that's like probably a real thing. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm sure
Yeah.
my nonsense asset combo Hawks will have 8 no blocks in it, and you'll be like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
And the assets and the scheme, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
simply not
I
blocking
think
anymore. The
yeah.
antithesis of my tournament run.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the general consensus, I guess, at the end of the episode is we'll see. Um, yeah, but this has been episode 7, I believe, of Where Wub. Bringing it all together again. Congrats to Wub on the win, and we will see all of you guys in about 2 weeks and at the Canadian Regional in the backyard of someone in Canada.